Hello and welcome to Stand Up for Jehovah. When I was a kid at school, me and my friends came across this devastatingly effective tool to add to our armoury of being mean to each other. And this tool was sending someone to Coventry. It has its origins in the English Civil War in about 1600 and something, and when Oliver's army sent some royalist soldiers to Coventry to prison, and all the people in Coventry were apparently Cromwell supporters and refused to speak to these prisoners completely. So sending somebody to Coventry was just completely refusing to speak to them. And of course in a playground it was brilliant, because unlike other ways of being mean and spiteful, the teacher had a remedy for the other things. So if you were calling somebody names or poking them or sticking your tongue out at them, of course the teacher would say, stop calling them names or stop sticking your tongue out. But if you were doing nothing at all, completely ignoring them and refusing to acknowledge their existence, then what remedy did the teacher have? The teacher couldn't come up to you and go, oh, be nice to Sally, speak to Sally. And then you could go, oh, hello Sally, really sarcastically. And of course Sally would know that you were still not being very nice to her. And then what would the teacher do then? Say it nicely. Hello Sally. There'd always be a way round it, wouldn't there? And so the teacher didn't really have a remedy for this fabulous new tool, and we used it liberally on each other. And really I was thinking, you know, the Watchtower does exactly the same thing. All that Shunning is sending people to Coventry. It's just a really clever way of being playground spiteful to each other, isn't it? But of course they've had to dress it up a bit. They can't call it sending you to Coventry. They've given it a really fancy name of disfellowshipping. We're disfellowshipping you. Whereas really what the announcement should sound like is this. Good evening, brothers. We've got a very sad announcement to make this evening regarding Sister Kitten. We're afraid that we're all sending Sister Kitten to Coventry from now. Don't look at her. Don't look at her. Don't even acknowledge her. Don't recognise her or respect her. That's what it would sound like, isn't it? And then they'd say something like, of course, we know that this is going to be quite hard for some of you. Sister Kitten was obviously one of the most devastatingly intelligent, beautiful, witty and charming people that often many of you had ever met. She was the person voted Miss most likely to be one of the governing body, 3 years on the spin. So we understand that it is going to be hard to send Miss Kitten to Coventry. But we feel that we're following in the spirit of Jesus' admonition in the book of 2 Testicles, chapter 3, verse 19, where Jesus said to the sinner, I know you are, you said you are, but what am I? And the sinner said to Jesus, that is so pathetic. And yea, Jesus replied, I know you are, you said you are, but what am I? And the sinner said, oh, for fuck's sake, this is so childish. And Jesus thrice replied. Yeah, you get the idea, don't you? So, really, a lot of people have discussed whether it would be possible to make a legal challenge to the whole baptism shunning thing, because especially as many people were baptised when they were still children, weren't they? When they were 15 or 14 or 13 or 2. Oh, no, we don't do infant baptisms. 9 is almost grown up to decide you want to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses when you're still getting pocket money off your mum and dad. So a legal challenge, is it possible? Obviously, I'm going to tell you what my opinion is. It really is split into two things, I think. There's the baptism element and then there's the shunning element of it. Now, baptism isn't a contract. It's not a thing. Interestingly, other religions recognise each other's baptisms, but none of them recognise Jehovah's Witness baptisms, which I only found out the other day. That's ace. It's not even a thing. Nobody recognises it. You're not doing a thing. It'd be like me going along to the Cataholics Club and signing up and paying my subs and joining the club and then getting there and finding out there isn't any cats there at all, and in fact it's the Catholics Club and I just leave because there's no cats there. You know, if you could join and then you can just leave, then there's no problem. It's like It's like when kids do that blood brothers thing, you know, and they spit on the hand and they do a pinprick on the thumb and they press the blood together and they go, now we're blood brothers forever and ever and ever. It's not a contract, that. If they fall out later on, they can't take each other. They don't need to take each other to court to divorce each other from being blood brothers. It's not a contract. It's just a thing you do. It's just, you know, made up. Like Jehovah's Witness baptism. It's just made up. Or like if your kid is in town and he goes, if you buy me this football, I promise to be good for the rest of the week. It's not a contract. It's just a promise. Baptism is just a promise that if you get baptized, we promise to be an asshole to you for the rest of your life if you ever do any number of things that we don't like. It's just a promise. It's not really a contract as such. And obviously baptism wouldn't be a problem at all if there was no shunning attached. You know, if you go to the Cataholics Club and find out there aren't enough cats there for you, then you just leave and, you know, you see somebody, a Catholic, who you thought was a cataholic in town, and they just say, hi, you know, sorry you didn't, you know, sorry there were no cats. It wouldn't be an issue, would it? If there was no shunning, joining and leaving groups wouldn't be a problem. We do it all the time. I joined a beekeepers association and then left because I didn't have any bees. I joined the Green Party once and then left because I don't know. I just decided I wasn't green enough. More blue, really. I should have joined the blue. Oh no, I'm not going there. So, you know, if you can join and leave and there's no consequences, then it's not a problem. So to me, it's the shunning part that's the problem. And, well, the Watchtower have obviously thought about this because they're instigating new rules about shunning, aren't they? So that you don't just have to be baptised to be shunned now. You can be anyone who basically was anywhere near a witness, within smelling distance of a witness at any point in their life, can now be shunned if they do anything against the 300-page long list of rules that you shouldn't do. So the convention this year are basically saying, oh, you can shun anyone you like, really. Don't worry about whether they're baptised or not. Shun away! Shun, 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 shun your kids, shun your aunties, shun your uncles, shun your cousins, shun them all. Oh, no, don't shun other Jehovah's Witnesses. That's crazy. So they're kind of covering all bases with that. You don't have to be baptised anymore to be shunned. You can just be shunned for fun. You can't force someone to be nice to you, can you? What you really want is for them to be nice to you. But just like the courts, just like the teacher, should I say, the courts don't really have a remedy for somebody not speaking to you. You can't go to court and get a court order that says, you must speak to me and be nice. I have a court order here, mother and father, or whoever it is that's shunning you, that says, you must speak to me and you must be nice. Go on, be nice to me. Nicer. It's not going to work, is it? So even if the courts could put a remedy in place, you can't. How can you enforce it? I know it's not funny. It's so painful. It's so painful, is this topic. I've thought long and hard about how you can take the sting out of shunning. And I really am not sure that you can, because what you're wanting, basically, is not just for them to speak to you. Hello, Louise. You know, and then you want them to be nice to you. You want them to love you is what you want. And there's no court in the land that can put that remedy in. So the only thing that I've come up with is I'm thinking perhaps we can highlight how utterly childish it is. The shunning is really just sending you to Coventry. We're sending you to Coventry. We're not going to speak to you or look at you or recognise you or respect you. So it's pathetic. It's utterly childish. It's a bit like something that I mentioned recently where an elder accidentally sat next to me in a public place, not realising who I was, and he obviously forgot that he had to shun me, and then he looked at me and he leaped up. He literally leapt up in the air and ran to sit somewhere else. It was hilarious. It was hurtful as well, because this was one of the uncles that had been, you know, what I thought was a friend for the first 30 years of my life. But it was as well extremely funny how terrified he was of me. The only other thing I can think is that we can maybe reclaim it a bit and call it what it really is. It's you know, just say it's sending you to Coventry, and it's playground spitefulness. It's nothing bigger, nothing more important, nothing more official than just being pure and simple a nasty little snitty 8-year-old who wants to hurt the friend by refusing to talk to him. I know that's not much sympathy, not much consolation if you are being shunned, but it's the best I can do. Thank you for listening to another episode of Stand Up for Jehovah.